What's going on? Meteorologist Mike Linden coming at you live from the MyRadar studio here in Orlando, Florida. It is just short of 1:30 Eastern time. And of course, here we are talking about Ida, which as it stands right now is a tropical storm. It has since been downgraded. It has weakened significantly from yesterday. Right now, a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. You can see it here on the MyRadar app. I've got the high-def radar turned on, and that shape that we were seeing yesterday, where you saw the eye, you saw the concentric bands kind of going around the center of the storm, those are gone. I mean, we no longer even have the characteristics, again, of a hurricane. This is a tropical storm as it stands right now, 40 miles per hour. This did make landfall yesterday afternoon, much earlier than what was anticipated, just short of noon local time, 11:55. Ida made landfall as a major Category 4 hurricane with winds at 150 miles per hour. Now, of course, MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jack was on the ground yesterday. We will get to some of his video, and he is still there today. But as I'm sure you can imagine, and as we'll talk about here in just a moment, the cellular networks and the electrical grid is just slammed down there this morning, as you can imagine. In fact, earlier today, nearly 1.2 million people were without power across Louisiana and Mississippi. In fact, let's check it out here in the MyRadar app. It's a brand new feature that we added a couple of months ago here, the power outages feature. And in order to turn this on, all you have to do is tap on the layers menu. It looks like the stack of cards there on the bottom. Scroll down to the bottom of the list and you'll see power outages, and you can toggle those on and off. So for more information, you just zoom down to this level, or really you can zoom down to any level you want. Let's go for New Orleans, of course, because that is getting a lot of attention right now. Orleans Parish, which of course is the city of New Orleans as well as the surrounding area. I mean, look at that, 91.5%. So nearly 92% of the total customers in Orleans Parish are without power. We do know as of this morning that the city of New Orleans is also without power. The only thing powering anything in the city right now is being powered by electrical generators. It's a bit of a mess, but what's really wild, of course, to consider is that 16 years ago yesterday, Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. Of course, historically in New Orleans, and notoriously the levee system failed. But keep in mind, a totally different time now, 16 years in the future. The levee systems have been improved. A lot of money went into making sure that that would not happen again. So we will have to wait and see as to how things really shake out. Although as it stands coming into this morning and now into the afternoon, it seems as if that same scenario did not unfold, which is really great. I mean, if you're looking for any kind of silver linings, especially when you consider that this was a stronger storm at landfall, a Category 4 hurricane. In fact, Matt, you have that video I sent you before, the screen recording from the app that I took yesterday of the wind layer when the storm was sitting over the Gulf of Mexico. There it is. Perfect. Let's take that. I just wanted to show you this visualization. This was from yesterday. I mean, just look at the way, those winds are just rushing in on the eastern side of the storm, right? Just pushing in all of that water. That's why, of course, the storm surge, as I'm sure you saw, got a lot of headlines yesterday. And that was at the time when Ida was a Category 2 hurricane. So rapidly intensifying as this thing continued to work its way toward the coastline. So, Matt, let's jump back into the app here. And again, let's take a look at what Ida is doing right now. I've got the hurricane tracker layer turned on. And if I zoom out, you can see right now where the cone is from the National Hurricane Center. Again, the outer bands still working their way inland, right here along the coastline of Alabama, Mississippi, and the panhandle of Florida. In fact, a tornado watch is in place for this part of the country until the afternoon and evening hours as these bands continue to work their way in from the south. And meanwhile, we have the flow coming in from the west. So, of course, you get the perfect ingredients for shear. In fact, let's take a look and see if we have any tornadic development right now. What we'll do is we'll tap on the layers menu. We'll go to the top here, tap on per station. This is part of the Pro Radar pack. But what you can do here, if I zoom out, you see all those sites, all those little Doppler radar icons? Well, the ones that are red are down right now, but the ones that are white are active. And what we can do is actually tap on them, and we can get a look at the hyper-local radar data that is available to us from that particular radar site. So let's tap on this one here. It's going to take a moment to load in, KEVX. And not only are we able to look at reflectivity, of course, that being precipitation, but we are also able to look at velocity as well. So on the right-hand side of the screen here, it looks like a little radar scan. Tap on that, and this is going to give you your options for what you're able to look at in the Pro Radar Pack. Composite, reflectivity, velocity, correlation coefficient, which is brand new and will become very useful, especially into tornado season, into the spring, and differential reflectivity. But for now, let's just go with velocity. And this is going to give us an idea whether or not we're seeing any kind of rotation in the air. Green is representing winds going toward the radar site. In this case, this one right here, KEVX. Red representing winds going away from the radar site. So when you start to see some things that essentially don't belong, without me being able to show you inherently, there's nothing going on, at least right now. But for example, here within this green, let's say you were to start to see a little kind of twisting of red, that would give you an indication that there is potentially some rotation in the air. And that is definitely going to be something to watch for as those bands continue to make their way inland along the day today. And when you consider that that flow too is coming in from the west, so you have this southwesterly flow and then this westerly kind of flow creating that sheared environment. And that's why, of course, there is the potential for that tornadic development right here along the Gulf Coast. So Mobile, Pensacola, those areas where we will be closely watching. Let's jump back to the high-def radar here. And, of course, this is a blend, essentially, of all of those sites. Heavy rain continuing to work its way inland. Notice here, if I zoom in here through Alabama, I mean, this is pretty much going to be your day today. In fact, if I open the forecast panel here in the MyRadar app, I'm using the iPad version of the app. But if you'd like to turn on the forecast on the iPhone or Android version of the app, that is done in the layers menu. But for now, we're going to turn on the forecast by tapping on this little sun and cloud icon in the bottom right-hand corner. And what we'll do here is, just to show you, we'll center over Alabama and we'll take a look at what your forecast is. I mean, not only raining for the next 2 hours, relatively moderate rain, but if we continue to go out even farther than that, you'll notice that we're going all the way into tomorrow afternoon. With it still raining in Alabama. I mean, this is all because of Ida bringing that tropical moisture on shore. And of course, with all of that wet weather, you certainly need to watch out for the potential for any kind of inland flooding. That is the #1 killer when it comes to natural disasters. It is related to the water. All right, so let's actually do this, Matt, before we take a look at more of the video, just because, hey, it is that time of year, folks. I've got to zoom out here. I've got the hurricane tracker layer turned on. And hey, 'tis the season, right? We've got some more named storms to talk about. This is what we would call in the business a fish storm. It is going to bother really no one other than the fish. This is Kate. There pretty much goes Kate. Next, we have got this area of interest that we are watching off of the Cape of Africa here near Sierra Leone. This is nothing right now, but this is something that the National Hurricane Center will be watching here over the next 5 days. So a strong likelihood of tropical development there. And then there is this area here off of Central and South America, a relatively low probability of tropical development. That is about 20% for the next 5 days. But there is Ida. We've got Kate off to the east, but there is what is left of Ida as it stands right now, a tropical storm. Thank you so much, of course, for everybody that has been joining us and interacting with us in the chat over these past couple days worth of coverage. It has just been really fantastic to interact with all of you. And what we'll do now, again, we're having a tough time connecting with MyRadar Storm Chaser Aaron Jack. As you saw, the cellular network, the power grid is just slammed down in southeastern Louisiana. So let's do this, Matt. Let's take a look at some of Aaron's video from yesterday. Of course, Aaron was streaming yesterday when he was trying to intercept the eye of Ida as it made its way inland. This was near Houma, Louisiana, where Aaron was kind of holed up a little bit. And here you go. Here's just from the live stream that we ran yesterday. I mean, look at that. You saw the sheet metal just fly right past his car. Right there in the bottom right-hand corner, that is the radar scan from where he was. So there's the eye moving its way toward the northwest. So Aaron was right there on the outside of it. In fact, toward the end of his stream here, it actually begun to kind of turn a little bit to the north. It was wild to see. If you were watching this stream yesterday for as long as we were able to take it. We had Aaron stream up, I believe, for roughly 2.5 hours as he was tracking the eye there. And, of course, not recommended for you to try. Aaron is, of course, a trained professional here, doing everything that he can do to try to remain safe. Aaron is a pro at doing this. Matt, can we jump ahead to another portion of the stream here? Let's show some more video from Aaron's stream. I mean, this was like must-see TV here. It's not every day that you see the approaching eye wall of a major Category 4 hurricane. I mean, one thing I might add, by the way, if you've ever been down to the bayou in Louisiana, I mean, you're talking about absolutely beautiful, beautiful flora, and this is just really unfortunate to see those really old trees, might I add, just getting... Oh, man, I mean, just getting blown around in those incredibly strong winds. In fact, someone yesterday in the chat was pointing out here another roof had flown past Aaron. So they had made a kind of a lighthearted joke that metal roofing, not a great advertisement, this video here. And, hey, I mean, it just goes to show you, folks, that it's not even so much the wind and the rain and everything that is dangerous, because it is. But it's all that wind that's picking up all of that debris, like the roof or a street sign, flying it through the air. It becomes a missile, right? So it's not a great place to be. I mean, look at that on the video. I mean, that's clearly the top of like a vent of a building. Matt, can you bring that video back a little bit? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how close I got to Aaron's car. Is there any way we can just jog that back just a few seconds? It's no big deal if you can. But I just want to show. That part of the roof flying by Aaron again. I mean, these winds were wild, folks. I mean, it was so strange to hear the sounds as well. There was really no way to describe it unless if you've ever seen the movie Arrival. I know Matt in the back, he's loving that. It's one of his favorite directors. It was that kind of sound when the alien ship came to Earth. That's kind of what it sounded like yesterday when we were watching the stream here, and you heard that kind of low, like groaning sound. It was very strange, to put it lightly. Wild stuff. Matt, can you jog ahead a little bit? I'm talking about when that chunk of the roof flew off. But either way, I mean, it's still super compelling. There you go. Whew. Wild stuff. So of course, Aaron was watching all around him as all of that was happening. But credit to Aaron J. Jack, the hardest working man in storm chasing. As I mentioned, he is still there in southeastern Louisiana. He is safe. All is good. Aaron is right now in the hardest hit area where landfall occurred, and that was near Port Fortune. In fact, Matt, if you can just jump back to the app real quick, or even take it in a little picture-in-picture. Yeah, that's fine. Right, this is cool. Right here is where it made landfall. In Port Fortune, you can see where that number 4 is, right? So that's where it made landfall yesterday. So Aaron is going to this area, but bear in mind the cellular connection is spotty, to say the very least. So Aaron is going to shoot some video to document some things. We should have that for you into the afternoon. We're also hoping to get some drone shots so we can look down on things. I mean, it's what's really great about the advent of technology when it comes to meteorological surveying, that what would have taken a very long time to survey all of this damage or to get into an airplane or helicopter. It takes a lot of moving parts, right? Aaron is a certified drone pilot and a certified pilot, so he can take his drone and we can get a really good look at the aftermath of Ida from the sky. So we're hoping to be able to do that later. Of course, a lot of that hinges on the cellular connectivity in southeastern Louisiana. One more video I want to show you here. This video actually comes to us from a buddy of one of our newest members of the team, Meteorologist meteorologist Erica Lopez. She got this from a buddy who just started a gig on an oil rig, an offshore oil rig in Louisiana. Matt, roll this video. I mean, you want to talk about Erica starting her first weekend with us, her friend here starting on this oil rig, and this Category 4 major hurricane shows up. I mean, wild stuff. Can you imagine, let alone working on an oil rig, but being on one and looking out your window and seeing this? Wild stuff, folks. An extreme wind warning, mind you, was issued yesterday. Those have only been issued, I believe, 7 times from the National Weather Service. It's a relatively new product, but it's describing incredibly destructive, catastrophic winds above 115 miles per hour. And yesterday, of course, was one of those circumstances. The good news is here, at least from my perspective, it seems like people are really starting, at least compared to even 16 years ago, really starting to get a little bit better at understanding at least the consequences of not respecting Mother Nature, which is good. We didn't see a lot of people like driving and getting in the way yesterday when Aaron was parked and like on the side of the road, like watching things. Usually there's people speeding or just not listening to local officials and are walking around with just being unsafe, really. And we didn't see a lot of that yesterday, so that is good. All right, Matt. So let's jump to the graphics that I have prepared, just a couple of them here, and then we'll take a look at some of the chat questions, and then we will wrap things up. Again, I'm hoping to be able to have Aaron a little bit later in the afternoon for you guys. I know you guys have a ton of questions for Aaron. He shared a really great photo yesterday. In fact, as we show the graphics here, I'll try to find it and pull it up here. Aaron brought with him a barometer, of course, which is a device that is used to measure atmospheric pressure. And in fact, Matt, if you can jump back to the iPad, here it is. I saw this selfie from Aaron. I thought it was too funny. 941.5 millibars was my lowest reading in Matthews, Louisiana, sitting in the calm eye right now. I think he meant to say still. Storm seems to have stopped moving. Current pressure at 949.6 millibars. Look at Aaron. Look at that grin. Gotta love that. Yes, and of course he's wearing a helmet for safety, 100%, Matt, absolutely. But there's his readings, if you can see them on the barometer. That is from yesterday. The average reading from the time that he was running at 982.5. And then the highest pressure you could see there, 1017.8. Wild stuff. So of course this is on our Twitter feed yesterday at MyRadarWX. Oh my gosh, let's watch just one real quick thing. This is the power of Twitter, folks, when you're scrolling past some things. Look at this video from California yesterday. This is from @BLCon on Twitter. I know this is unrelated to Ida. I've got to roll this thing back, Matt. I mean, look at this thing. What a time to be alive, folks, huh? And that was a relatively small fire, mind you. That was out in California. So, Matt, let's jump back to the graphics. The hurricane names. Let's hit it. Let's do it. So, big shout out to Matt, our editor behind the scenes, working super hard. And of course, with the latest names crossed off the list, here's the latest and greatest from the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. So, Ida, Julian, Kate, those names are going to be crossed off the list. So after that, we've got Larry, Mindy, Nicholas, Odette, Peter, Rose, Sam, Teresa, Victor, and Wanda. All right. Let's jump back over here to the graphics here that I have prepared for you. Again, looking at the infrared imagery here, you can see that the relative shape of Ida is it's not as pretty as it looked yesterday. Now it's just kind of a big mess. A lot of rain still coming in thanks to that tropical moisture as we are just tapped in. Let me grab my pointer tool right here. So it's like a fire hydrant, right? Like imagine the Gulf of Mexico is the fire hydrant, and this is just a fire hose connected, just bringing in tons of moisture, especially to the folks that live along the Gulf Coast. So storm surge still going to be something to watch out for as well. Not as significant as yesterday, being that the core of the wind is way, 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 way inland, but certainly going to be some rough seas, especially for these folks, again, right here that live along the coastline. So if I grab my tool to be able to zoom in here, you can get a closer look at those lines. Again, these are likely to be packing some rather potent winds, especially for the folks that live near Pensacola. You're likely to start feeling this here within the next half an hour to 45 minutes, particularly from that line coming in from the west. But remember, with the way that these lines are coming in right now, they're not just necessarily moving in from the west. We have winds moving in from the south-southwest. So that's why you're dealing with this relative sheared environment, because you have essentially this cross-section of winds going in different directions. So that could at least be some conducive to some spinning. So definitely something to watch out for. Again, the potential for for tornadic development, rather, for the folks that live right here in this general area. If I show you this, though, keep in mind that despite Ida, at least the real core of it here, I gotta grab my pointer tool again, relative center being up here, in central Mississippi. Notice these purple boxes. These are tropical storm warnings. I mean, we're still dealing with winds even right now, maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, and that extends all the way even to parts of Florida, Alabama, most of Mississippi. In fact, a teeny little portion of Louisiana as well. And then, of course, all this green, and that extends all the way up and even into the nation's capital. These are flash flood watches. Definitely something to watch out for. Again, rain is definitely going to be a big factor here in the coming days as this continues to make its way inland. Again, another look at the live sweeping radar, although this time I've got the rotation indicators turned on. So I'm trying to not go like complete bird's eye. I guess we can for this particular instance here. But can you see all those signs of some early indication? I mean, this is trying to pick up even on some lighter hailstones, smaller hailstones. But notice, see that early. So radar indication, at least, that there is the possibility of some spin. So we will keep you monitored of that as the day progresses. But let's take a look at the HRRR. This model actually performed rather well yesterday. This is a high-resolution model, meaning it's really detailed information, but I can't take it out super far. I can really only take it out a certain number of hours, I believe 16 hours, the HRRR here. But let's advance it here. So I'll keep it going, and we'll pause it at around just after midnight tonight. Notice, the real core of the moisture is still beginning to work its way inland. We're talking northern Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, western Kentucky. But then you see those scattered storms even near where the storm made landfall over southeastern Louisiana, coastal Mississippi and Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida. It's going to be those bands, those smaller storms that could certainly pack a punch in here, right? These guys that are isolated off by themselves, they don't have to share the available energy really with anything else. So certainly something to key in on if that is where you live. Because notice, as this storm continues to work its way northward, remember what I said about that pipeline, like a fire hose? Let me bring this back for you. Right? It's almost as if we are connected in terms of that hose right to the Gulf of Mexico, because it is just feeding that central line, that leading edge here. And notice it really starts to bend as this becomes a really nasty bow echo. This could likely indicate some stronger winds, especially for northern Florida, as midweek approaches. And there, of course, as Ida really begins to push its way northward, just staying tapped into the Gulf of Mexico, so continuing to bring tropical rains to the Gulf Coast, and then bringing in some stronger storms as we head into the middle portion of the work week for north and central Florida. Eventually, the remnants of Ida will continue to work its way northward into the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys before exiting later this week. So, in fact, let's take a look at that tropical tracker before we round things out here, Matt. I've got it right here for some folks. So, again, there's a look at Wednesday. Wind speeds right around 25 miles per hour. And then by Friday, sitting right off the coastline there of Martha's Vineyard. So for people that live in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, of course, you were dealing with Henri not too long ago. This could be kind of another messy weekend for you here as even wind speeds of 35 miles per hour, picking up a little juice there as it heads back for water once we get past Wednesday, Thursday, it being, of course, Ida. Let's head back to the Twitter here, Matt. Having some fun here scrolling through the tweets from last night. There was so much of it. There's Aaron. Good stuff. I want to show you a video yesterday of the storm surge. This was actually in our app, in the video storm chasers layer. Let me find it. Got to load here. Here it is. Big shout out to John Humphreys. He set this camera up near Port Fortune. This was 7 feet above the ground, mind you. That is not your stream buffering. That's this video. So again, 7-foot storm surge, at least where this was, but we ended up seeing significantly more than that. Let's take another look here. Here's another video here. That's Grand Isle, close to where it made landfall, 136 miles per hour. That one comes from local media in New Orleans. And then here's a look at some traffic cameras there near New Orleans. The I-10 twin-span bridge. Yeah, and there you go. There's we'll end on this before we look at the chat, right? So there's Katrina 16 years ago. And there's yesterday. Wild stuff, folks. All right. Let's jump over here to the chat. Make sure that I'm not missing any of your questions. We will have more to come. I'm really hoping that we're able to get connected with Aaron here. But, of course, the way that things work with an event like this is that the cellular networks are just jam-packed, and that's totally to be understood. So we're looking at the chat here. Big shout out to Sandy. We saw you over the past couple of days. Yeah, Erica has, most definitely Erica. Do you want to talk about trial by fire? That was definitely it. But we are so glad to have Erica here with us. And again, we are really hoping to be able to have Aaron with you coming into the afternoon today. But I think, Matt, that'll probably just about do it. Again, I want to thank all of you that took the time to watch our coverage. And I really hope for those of you that live in and around the Gulf Coast, that for those of you that do live in and around the area, you have friends and family that live in that area, that you and yours are safe and okay. Remember to follow us across all of our social media platforms. Remember, we are streaming across every platform whenever we go live. You can see them above my head here. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/MyRadarWX. Of course, you can see meteorologist Erica Lopez's coverage on MyRadar ES across all of our social media platforms. That is going to be for Spanish-speaking coverage. I'm trying to think if there's any other housekeeping notes here, Matt. Of course, be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms. We are set to do so many exciting, cool things here in the coming weeks. I just have so many things flying around my brain right now, but we are all things hurricane season, of course, as it stands right now. If you are watching on YouTube, of course, be sure to like this video. It really, really helps us out a lot. It helps us out a lot. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are not already, and click on that notification bell. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video, or, of course, whenever we go live like this. And, of course, I got to give a shout-out to everybody on the team that has worked these past couple of days. And, of course, the folks behind the scenes. I'm talking about Matt, Damian, Chris. You guys are all rock stars. Thank you so much for putting in some super long hours over the past couple of days. And big shout out, of course, to our man on the ground, MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jajak, who is still in Louisiana. We will have more from him in the coming hours. But from all of us here on the team, stay safe and stay dry. We'll catch you back here in the next one. See ya.